Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Political Junkie 2414. This is the first of my videos. This is the very first one. So basically what I'm going to be doing, first of all, I'll give an introduction to myself. I run another YouTube channel called Interactor127. It is where I used to post political videos, but I thought it might be better than to, might just be better to make it make a whole new channel dedicated to my political views. So this will cover some election coverage, what's going on in the political landscape, especially since there's a lot I need to catch up on and upload stuff to YouTube for. Haven't made one since April. But in this video, we're going to start out with something that can be simple if you think about it. So we're going to start out with a presidential election topic, and that is the margins of victory, which is this will be kind of like a guide for following my madness as I try to explain these types of margins and the types of margins that my election predictions, that the candidates in my election predictions will win by. So first let's look up what a margin of victory is, and it's actually pretty self-explanatory. According to Wiktionary, which I don't use often, but it's pretty simple, it's a pretty simple definition. It says the difference in score between the winner of a competition and the second place finisher. So I'm going to use 4 states for each type of margin. So basically what it means is, say one candidate gets 60% of the vote in a presidential election, and the other gets, I don't know, this can be applied for more than just presidential elections, but say that just a candidate in a presidential election wins the state and wins 60% of the vote, while the other candidate wins, I don't know, let's say 35%, that would mean that they have around a 25% margin of victory. So it's basically the difference. So that's exactly what I would prefer it. That's pretty much a pretty safe explanation of it. So now let's get into the types of margins of victory. There are 4 types. Each of them have their own type of color. There's safe / solid, likely, lean, or tilt. So let's start off with solid / safe. This is probably the most self-explanatory one. Once again, this is very easy to follow if you know what you're doing. So let's use it. So basically, the margins of victory have to do with how big the margin of victory is. The types have to do with that. So a solid or safe margin of victory only occurs when the winner of a state or any contest has a 15% margin of victory, or higher than 15% margin of victory. So let's take an example of this. Let's look at Missouri. So Missouri in 2020 was won by Donald Trump by 15.4%. This is this is barely a safe margin, but it's pretty much the closest that I could get to 15.0%. So anything that is or above 15.0% will be considered a safe or solid margin. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So let's go on to the next one. So as you can see, both parties have their own type of have their own palette for the different margins of victory. So let's highlight Missouri on this map. There you go. You can see it's solid red. Let's highlight it as if it went to the Democrats by Joe Biden or whatever, by 15% or higher. So yeah, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Let's get into the next one, which is the likely margin. The likely margin is anything that is 14.9% to 7.0%. So let's take a state. Let's do a state that Biden won. Let's go with Colorado. Biden won by 13.5%. So considering that it was in between 7.0, that it was in between 6 point, or that it was more than 7.0% and less than 15%, that would make it a likely margin. Of course, 7.0% can be classified as a likely margin, but it depends. And Maine is another example if you want to do one for Trump. Trump won it by 7.4%, so that's a likely margin. So, and as you can see, it's more of a, for the Democrats, it's more of a, what kind of color would you call that? It's more of like, it's not like a dark blue. I guess you would call that sort of a, I guess you could call that mid blue. Or whatever, I don't know the word for it. So let's put Colorado down as likely for the Democrats or Joe Biden. Look at that. So that's that's the same color, and now let's put it down as likely for Donald Trump or the Republicans. So, yeah, and then we can also do the same for Maine's 2nd district, which, you know, Maine is one of only 2 states, the other being Nebraska, that splits its electoral votes. So there you go, and there you go, and let me get that out. Okay, so we're halfway done now. So now we're going to move on to the lean margin. The lean margin is the margin as a margin of victory that is anywhere from 6.9% to 2.0%. So let's take, for example, let's take another state that Trump won. Let's take Florida. Florida was won by 3.4%. This was shocking because, you know, I'm not going to get too into it because I'll talk more about the polls and stuff in future videos. But Trump won it by 3.4%. It's a lean margin. It was almost 2%. So, yeah, so anything from 6.9% to 2.0% is a lean margin. For Biden example, let's look at Michigan. Michigan was won by 2.8%. So that was pretty much just under 3%, and it still would be a lean margin even if it went down to 2.0%. Okay, so now let's color those two in to give you a little bit of an example. You know, I know this might be hard to follow. I understand if you might get a little confused by it. So there you go. You got Florida. It's that kind of pinkish color, and then you got it as that turquoise kind of color for the Democrats, and then Michigan you have as lean, that little turquoise color, and then lean. Okay, so we're on our final type, and this is definitely the this is one that is kind of it's pretty similar to the safe margin, except, or the safe/solid margin, except it's a little bit different. So the last one is tilt. Tilt is the type, is anything, is a margin of victory from anywhere from 1.9% and lower. So it could go very, very small. So for an example of this, I'm going to pick Wisconsin. Wisconsin was won by Biden by 0.63%. So that would be a tilt margin. That's even less than a percentage point. Now this could have gone down. Anything below 2.0%, and I mean anything, could be classified as a tilt margin, and probably would be. So yeah, so we'll color that. And then if you want like a Trump example, North Carolina would be, since it's 1.3%, but this map works a little bit differently. From my impression, though, it would have been a tilt margin. If I drew this map, I would have put it as a tilt margin. So, yeah, so now let's color those two states in. Let's color in Wisconsin in that grayish kind of color for the Democrats, and then that brownish kind of color for the Republicans. And then we'll color in North Carolina brown, and then gray. So yeah, so that might have been very confusing. I know it sounds confusing. I'm not the best at elaborating, but I just wanted to make this video because I think it's a very interesting topic. And this will be helpful. So if you guys, you know, want to ask me any questions in the comments, feel free to do so, and I will reply because I am adamant about talking about this stuff. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like the video, turn on the notifications button, click the little card at the top right corner, share with your family and friends, and check out my other channel, Interactor127, which is has a lot more videos than this channel has. This is pretty much will be my second channel, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. But if you want to head over for more content, just head to Interactor127. I'll put a card up for that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time when I talk about all things politics.